It's your girl, KV.
And Celine.
And we're back for another episode of the Hood Health Report. Today, we have a special guest with us. We'll let her introduce herself, Kanesha. But first, we're gonna get into some couple of this or that questions, and then you can introduce yourself. Okay. So first, this or that questions, always one we usually start with. HBCU or PWI?
HBCU.
All day.
Easy.
And then you just expound on that a little bit more. Did you do your undergrad at an HBCU? Did you do grad studies, HBCU? Like, expound a little bit.
So I got my undergraduate degree from the #1 HBCU in the nation, Spelman College, and I got both of my graduate degrees from a PWI, the University of Memphis.
Okay. So I'm the same, went to Spelman undergrad, got my master's at University of Memphis.
I went to the University of Memphis. I got my undergrad and my master's there, but I love HBCU, so, you know.
And this next one, she always picks on me about, so I'll let her do that.
Okay, so this next one, like she said, is something we talk about all the time. Thriller movies or fact-based films?
I'm gonna go with, when y'all say thriller, you don't mean like scary movies. You mean like...
It could be a movie.
Like, I feel like the movie, was that a thriller? Was that like a psychological thriller?
It was a thriller movie.
Okay. I like fact-based movies more so than thrillers. Yeah.
So my answer is fact-based films, for sure.
I'm a thriller girl. Psychological thrillers all day. They make fun of me all the time because anytime we pull like a reference like we did for this episode, it's usually some type of thriller.
Yeah, before I even start watching, I'm like, oh, I already know she's about to have me watching some kind of thriller movie right now.
We do some docu stuff too to make sure we get the facts in, but you know, for certain topics, it does help to pull in like a real life, you know, something that people don't feel like they have to do homework. Right. You know, because that's the, you know, people don't want to feel like, you know, oh, it's a task to catch up on this. Like, nope, go watch this entertaining movie instead. So yes, so tell us some more about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background and what you do.
All right, so my name is Dr. Kanesha Moore. I always include the Lashante. There are no questions about what I look like when I walk into a room.
Period.
Like we already said, I got my undergraduate degree from Spelman. I got my master's in clinical mental health counseling from the University of Memphis, and I also got my PhD in counseling psychology from the University of Memphis. I am a native of Memphis, Tennessee. I coined myself as the dancing doctor because before I was a doctor, I was a dancer. I've danced since I was 4 years old, and my mom and I have a dance team here in the city. I also teach dance aerobic classes called Cardio Blast Dance Fitness, where I encourage people to have a blast, getting fine, fit, and confident. It's a little bit about me.
Yes, love it. Yeah, great intro.
So today's topic is about the mental health effects of social media. We've seen so many articles and so many statistics coming out about how children and even adults are affected by their mind being shaped from social media and them thinking that is reality when there's really a whole reality outside of that. So that's what this conversation will be based on.
Right. And mentioning that, KB said that we were going to be talking about social media and the effects that they have in articles. I read an article and it basically was saying that there's an excessive social media usage and addiction making matters worse when it comes to mental health and with students, and they struggle with that. Do you believe that social media is causing mental health crisis or becoming a mental health crisis in itself?
Absolutely. I think that, I don't believe that social media is a mental health crisis itself, but I do believe that social media is having a negative impact on the mental health of many people who use the apps often. We see it a whole lot. People doing lots of comparisons. They're comparing their lives to the lives of other people, feeling insecure about what they have going on, making people feel depressed because they don't have what they think other people have. Sometimes anxiety is growing because they think, oh, I'm not good enough, and when I walk into these spaces, people are going to judge me. So there are lots of social anxieties that are rising because people are spending a whole lot of time on social media. So there's a lot of mental health pieces that come from, too much social media.
So with that, we've seen that some school systems are starting to file lawsuits against these social media platforms. I know the first one was Prince George's County Public Schools. They filed a lawsuit since then. There have been a lot of school systems to jump on board with it. Do you believe that social media companies should be held liable for harming students' mental health?
Truthfully, and this may be a controversial statement, but I don't believe that the social media platform itself is to blame, especially when it comes to our children. I think that parents have to do a bit more monitoring of how much time their kids are spending on social media and the things that their kids are watching on social media. So it's unfair for me to sue McDonald's because I ate too many French fries and I gained 30 pounds. So it's not McDonald's fault. It's my own fault. I should have been, holding myself more accountable. So I think that parents have to be more responsible with what their kids are watching rather than blaming the platform itself.
I completely agree with that, especially me being a parent now and my child having a tablet. Like, we did not want for our child to have a tablet. Somebody else ended up buying our child a tablet, but we're very much like, we monitor what she's watching. We're right over her shoulder. We're making sure, tablet time needs to be limited. It's not like your go-to once you get home. So I definitely understand that, because I see so many posts where people are like, oh, insert artist name, is doing something that our children shouldn't be doing. Or somebody the other day, Meg Thee Stallion's coming out with a liquor line when she has underage supporters. That's not right. And it's like, what? So she can't live her life as a grown woman with companies and partnerships and things because children are her fans? I definitely agree with you on that, because people definitely like to strip themselves of that responsibility and put it on others.
Yeah, lack of accountability in a sense of being like a parent when it comes to your child. Like, of course, the company possibly could monitor certain things, but certain things they can't monitor. Like, they would be on the parents. So I kind of agree with both of y'all. Even though I don't have a child to necessarily do these things with, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, you gotta have a little bit of a who's really to blame for it. I couldn't necessarily see how the lawsuit was going to work out, and I think that's what the article kind of mentioned too, like how the companies were like, well, just like McDonald's, if you're buying it, then it's on you to monitor how much of it you're eating. Right. I do think maybe they could put some kind of censorship on it, but they already
have it to where you have to be 14, enter your birthday. Yeah. I think they're trying to ramp up on ways to, prove that this person is of this age, but that's the only thing.
Okay, Dr. Kanesha, you already started mentioning it a little bit about depression and body issues, and then also comparison. So I was looking at a study, and I found that young adults ages 18 to 25 are twice as likely as teenagers at the ages of 17 to 24. At the ages of 17 to 14 to suffer from anxiety and depression and body image issues. Do you have any tips or tricks on how to unplug, or maybe to reconnect with yourself so that you're not so worried about what you're seeing on social media and you doing all that comparison with other people?
And so that one is a tricky one because between those ages, 14 to 25, those are pivotal moments within our brain development. And during that time in our lives, we are comparing ourselves to other people. That's what happens. And it just so happens that social media use filters and people have Photoshop. And so people are comparing themselves to artificial images. Yeah. And that part will make people have lots of body image issues. So my biggest piece of advice is really just to love yourself the way that you are. And it's okay to want to improve aspects of your own being, but let it be what you truly see. Not comparing it to what someone else has, but just wanting to improve what's already there with you. And again, I take it back to parents for adolescents and teenagers. What are the parents telling the children about themselves? How are we pouring into our youth so that they understand their own worth and value, and they can see these people that look like they don't have pores on their skin on social media, but know that that's not actually true because they have, a more mature adult telling them that's not real and you're perfect, you're beautiful just the way that you are. So really it's about loving yourself for who you are truly, and then having those outside sources pour into you as well.
Yeah, the use of filters on these apps and these AI picture generators has truly morphed how people feel like they should look or how other people should look. Like I remember like there was a picture of a celebrity of her face and they were like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with her face? And it's like, it's called pores. Everyone has them. People just usually have a filter on it, have so much makeup on that you can't quite see the pores. But I'm like, that is perfectly normal to see the pores in someone's face. But it was just so much conversation around it that you can tell that filters has truly changed the way people feel like others and themselves are supposed to look. It's
They've also started saying that they were going to start not allowing filters on certain websites and stuff like that. I'm not sure how that's going to work, because it's kind of like even with the hearting and liking thing, you know, some people get like that little, ooh, somebody liked my picture kind of feeling. So they've played around with ideas of like taking away those kind of features to see if that would kind of help with people's self-esteem, confidence, and things like that. And I think it would. For me personally, I kind of was bad at it at one point. Like you get so used to like just putting a filter on something or like trying to change the way something look. So I have done like a whole bunch of like taking a back seat to it and just being like able to appreciate like what it is that something actually looks like, instead of being like, oh, this needs a filter for it to be good enough. You know, I think it's one of those things where you said the way people pour into you, I think a lot of times people just want to be instantly like, you know, gratified. Yeah, so one of those things that you have to do is like look at yourself and be like, okay, well, without that, those things are the people that want to be included are going to be there to support you, whether or not the picture is picture perfect or not. So that's interesting that you mentioned that. The project survey also mentioned that more than 700 young adults found that more than half said that financial worries and pressures to achieve certain things have affected their mental health. In addition, 58% of respondents said that they lack meaning and purpose in lives. And I can relate to that because I kind of fall in that like age range really close. I'm still in my 20s. So I have degrees, I have all these other things, but when you're on social media, sometimes you don't see those things, or you only see pieces of what everybody else is posting. So you can kind of like start to do that whole comparison thing. So what would you tell somebody that is like in my age group, or possibly somebody like maybe your younger self who is more active on social media, what they can do to like, you know, maybe change some of those things so they're not like looking at a picture and be like, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be at right now?
My younger self, I'm still my younger self.
I'm still in my 20s.
What you said, and truthfully speaking, yes, that impacts people in their 20s, but I'm in my early 30s. And so my generation of people are also impacted by that, myself included. You know, sometimes we look at where other people are and we're like, man, like I know I'm supposed to be there. Like for me personally, I decided to put my focus on like education and career. So at my age, many of my peers are married with children. I'm not yet married. I don't yet have any children. I have nieces that I adore, but I don't have any kids of my own just yet. And I'm like, man, did I do the right thing? Or maybe I need to hurry up because the clock is ticking, the biological clock is ticking. But in all truth and honesty, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And I think that if more people kind of hold that idea closely, I'm right where I'm supposed to be, then you won't feel this need or this urge to rush and become somebody that you aren't. Really, just because somebody else has something doesn't mean that I'm supposed to have that thing at the same time. If I want it, you know, and me, I'm religious, so if I want something, I believe the Lord is going to give me the desires of my heart, then I'm going to have it. It might not come right now, but I'll have it eventually. So if people practice patience with themselves, grace with themselves, and gratitude for where they are and what they have, they can really help kind of lessen the impact of watching what other people have and feeling bad that you don't have.
I like that.
So speaking with this notion of image and social media and what that is doing to our mental health, I've seen like a resurgence in these like kid phones. Recently, I've been getting a lot of ads for a phone called the Gabb phone. It's basically like, okay, you can call people, but you can't get to the internet. You can't reach any type of social media. And you know, they used to have these little things back, you know, little Disney phones or something where you got 3 numbers you can call and not access to the internet. So I've been thinking about this, like how this works in actual practice. Because like I mentioned, my toddler already has a tablet with access to the internet. So if she gets 6, 7 years old and we say, okay, girl, here's this Gabb phone when you want a phone. And she's like, this ain't got YouTube. This don't have the things that I need that I'm used to having on a device. So I'm thinking like with this, do you think that this could actually be placed into practice when things like that, children have had access to internet since toddlerhood, or people, even if my child doesn't have a phone that has access to the internet, they probably have a friend that has access to the internet and they could just go see whatever they want to see with that friend. So like, what are your thoughts on that, or kind of trying to tailor for the parents that are more hands-on and, you know, looking for those ways to more tailor this being a thing?
You know, I actually like that idea. It's called a Gabb phone.
Gabb, G-A-B-B.
G-A-B-B. So I think in theory that could be helpful, especially like outside of the home. Mm-hmm. So like you give your child your Gabb phone for when they have to go to school, and let's say they have a practice or something after, and you want them to be able to call and keep you updated. Mm-hmm. So all they have is mom, dad, and grandma or something like that in the phone. And they can call y'all whenever they need you. And then when they get home, they can have like a designated tablet time, designated internet time that's monitored by their parents. I think that could help in theory.
Have you seen anything like that in practice? Like, have you seen where a child may have a phone, but it's not necessarily...
Honestly, I've not seen it in practice. So I used to be a teacher. I taught for 5 years.
Right. Oh, yeah. I forgot to mention that. That's why I asked specifically about that.
Because that's fine.
Been around the children.
Yeah. And so I was a middle school science teacher, and all of my students had cell phones. Mm-hmm. And like you said, even if their parents did give them a Gabb phone, they likely would have just used one of their friends' phones. Or if their friend was on Instagram, they would just look over their shoulder and look at what they're doing. They'll just take selfies together, make videos together, do TikToks together. So in theory, it could be a good practice for parents who really want to be hands-on and monitor what their children are doing. In practice, it could help to a certain extent. But, you know, we've all been kids before.
Right.
You find a way to do what you really want to do.
So I'm like, has anybody seen these phones in the wild, I guess?
I've not seen them.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So another question that I kind of had was about people meeting online. So it said that, like, I don't know if you have heard this, 50% of young adults now meet online and interact with people online instead of like in person. What are your thoughts on that? And then do you know any ways that people could better connect with people like in person, or like getting back to like the root of like actually having conversations with people and actually, you know, enjoying being social with somebody outside of the internet?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that question is twofold. You know, with anything, there are pros and cons, and it's true. So, like, I don't know, 30 years ago, most people met their person through like a friend or a family member. Now, the majority of people meet via the internet, social media, dating sites, or something like that. And I think it's helpful in a way that it gives you access to people that you may not have met naturally. And then maybe you could find somebody who's a better, you know, match for you. The downside to that is that oftentimes our social media presence is a persona of who we are. And so we meet people who are attracted to our persona and not to our authentic selves. And so we meet these people and we have a connection based off our personas, and then we meet in person and we're like, oh, this isn't gonna work. And it's because they weren't attracted to who you actually are. They were attracted to what you presented yourself as.
Or what they thought.
Or what they thought you were. And so we see that a lot. So people are meeting people, but they're not necessarily making these lasting and meaningful relationships, which is why loneliness is so high. And so I think...
And we have an influx of these crazy fly-out stories.
Getting like flued out.
Getting flued out.
Did you just see that one about the Valentine's? Is that what the reason you?
I saw one recently, and we have these crazy fly-out stories because people are like, "Oh, I found my match online," but you're not really connecting, but you're trying to like force something or try it out when that base isn't built. So yeah, my bad interrupting you, but it definitely was like. Yep, that's exactly why that loneliness, that sense of loneliness is increasing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so I think it's important for people to go out and meet people.
Yeah.
Like even if you
organically,
go with a friend to a restaurant, go to a social event that's being held in your town, go to church, go to the library, like go to the places that you have a vested interest in, meet other people who share those interests. And that way you can really cultivate these meaningful relationships. So like for me, I love to ride horses. So I go out to Shelby Farms often, and I ride the horse named Oreo because she's my favorite. She's stubborn, but I like her. It would make sense for me to do that and meet people there, like build friendships amongst people who have that same interest, because now we have something to talk about. We have something to do together. We can have fun. We can meet other people. But if I'm staying at home because I don't feel like being bothered, I'm going to feel lonely. I can't meet anybody authentically, and I'm going to resort to my phone, to social media, and then I'll meet somebody who believes that I'm this chipper, bubbly person all the time because that's what I put on social media. But truthfully, sometimes I'm just real chill and mellow, and I don't really want to talk. But how would they know that if they don't get to see the real me? So to sum that all up, yes, I think there are some benefits of meeting people online. You get to meet a vast, many people, many different walks of life. And it's also important that you go out so that people can see the true you, and you connect with people. You can connect with people who share your interests and your values.
That made something pop up in my head that I thought about. People don't have hobbies a lot these days.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
We don't hear people like, "Oh, I'm joining this club," or "Oh, I'm in this club." I can recall a couple of weeks ago, I was like, "Oh, my library has a crochet club," and I've just recently started back crocheting, and people were like, "Oh, libraries do stuff like that?" I'm like, libraries have many of programs for all ages. Like, make sure you guys go check that out, because that's a quick way to be plugged in your community and things of that nature, finding different interests or hobbies. But I have realized a lot of people don't have like the sense of, okay, here's this hobby that I can meet people through. Like, people aren't joining running clubs like that anymore, and it's interesting.
They join hobbies based off of what they see on social media because they think that that's
the media.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where they're not even being authentic to themselves. Sometimes they don't even like or want to do the thing that they're doing. They're just doing it because I heard this is what everybody else is doing. So making sure that you're doing something because it's something you want to do. So yeah, finding hobbies that you actually enjoy. When you said that too, the thought that I started thinking about, because you said access to how many people you have access to, I think that's another thing that people struggle with too, because social media is really all there at one time. So it's like multiple access to different people, multiple access to different like relationships, friends that you can make, people that you can kind of be. That's kind of like a segue into the movie kind of thing. So I'm trying to hold off on it, but I want to keep that in mind. Like, when you mentioned that, that's something that came up in my head.
Well, since you tapped on the movie, let's go ahead and jump right in. So that is why we had that this or that question in the beginning about that, because I definitely picked a psychological thriller that I felt like very much pertained to this episode, right? So this was just a movie that I was just watching on the fly. It wasn't even like I had this episode in mind when I watched it. So when I did watch it, I was like, okay, well, this is really showcasing addiction to social media, like far past the usage and everything. It's like an addiction now to be an influencer, who has the best posts, who can get the most likes. And as we mentioned, platforms are kind of trying to shy away from that a bit because Instagram was taking away the number count. So a lot of people don't even have that number count of 35 likes. It'll just say hearts and others. Hearts and others. So this movie that I am talking about is called Dying to Be Famous. It is on BET+. It is about like a 20-something-year-old lady, and she is literally dying to be famous. We see the movie open with somebody being murdered, and we're like, well, what is going on with this? And then we meet this character, and she is just dead set on becoming the top influencer. She's trying to find ways to talk to the other influencers, and then we realize that she has some psychological issues going on. I can't remember. Did you what diagnosis that it was? Do you remember what that was? What was
They
it?
diagnosed her with this dissociative identity disorder.
And could you explain a bit of that? Because I was like, wait, what was it? Dissociative identity disorder. Okay.
So we call it DID for short, formerly known as multiple personality disorder.
Okay.
Right. So basically, it's where people have, we call them alters. So you have different alters that represent different aspects of traumatic experiences you've had, and I'm kind of summing it up. So essentially, like, DID is birth out of trauma. So when people have significant trauma, they create these different personas to protect themselves from the pain that was caused by that trauma. And oftentimes these alters follow them throughout their lives, and at different moments when they're faced with different traumatic experiences, certain alters will step forward to protect the person from the painful experience in front of them. And so with DID, people will have, and the alters will be different ages, they'll have different names, sometimes they'll be a different gender, sometimes they'll be different ages, different racial and ethnic identities. And it's all based on what the person felt they needed in that moment to be safe and protected. And so that was her diagnosis.
And if you see the movie, that is exactly what she did. She had this alter where it was to protect her. So that alter, she wasn't even like cognizant of what was going on, but that alter was out there wilding out to, like, she was casting, couching it up. She was out here, you know, just doing the most to try to get to that top influencer spot. And it's like, it was crazy to watch, because it's like, this is really people. Like, this is really the time that we're living in, to where if you're on social media, you'll see that every so often influencers are beefing because, well, I was supposed to have this brand deal and she took it from me, and that was going to be my way to get this many followers. And so seeing that movie, it was just really crazy to me, because it's like, wow, for one, it's a fresh take. It's not like a remake of a remake of a remake. So that was one thing that stood out for the movie for me. And the fact that it was reflecting of what our reality is.
Our generation.
And so
Our
generation is very much like into social media. Very much, this is all they know, because like computers in the home. I remember being a child, maybe about 6 or 7, when we got a computer in the house, and everybody got their little AOL CD. You on there in the chat rooms and things like that. And thinking about that for us 30-something years olds, but those 20-something year olds, they're born with complete access to internet, and that is all they know. So the comparison, that's all they know, and it's just very detrimental to the mental health when you're looking at this movie. What are you guys' thoughts on the movie? And not just, talking about it in this sense, but just the movie in general, on how she was trying to navigate being into this top influencer spot.
You want to go first? Or can I say my little piece?
Go ahead.
My only little piece that I was thinking, or that I thought about when I was watching the movie, was not only this movie. It kind of reminded me of the movie Split, if you ever saw Split, because he had the different personalities that would step into. And so throughout the movie, I guess for me, because I didn't know until they diagnosed her what was going on with her, I was just like, I wonder if she's like remembering any of this stuff, or I wonder if this is like, if she's actually doing this, or like these are her thoughts that she's having, or like how is she's able to like just be like, I don't know what's going on, because I was confused about that. But once they told me like what it was, I was like, okay, I think I've seen another movie about this and I get it. As far as like the social media part of it kind of relates. Like I said, a lot of people want to be influencers. They want to like have that social media presence. They want people to know them for something. So I think it's just one of those things where it's just like remembering why you're on social media. Like some people, that's all they're not thinking about anything past, I want to be the best at whatever I'm doing. So like making sure that you're just aware of that. And then also like, I also thought about like friendships and stuff like that, because her friend, one of her close friends in the movie, their relationship is just their relationship. So I'm just like making sure, so just making sure that I'm not gonna say too much about it, but just like in general, having friendships and like the way people view you, paying attention to those cues.
I think I enjoyed the movie, and I thought that it shed light on several different things. Like, yes, one, a lot of young people are willing to do whatever to become like the top influencer, the top content creator. Like they're willing to backstab people. They don't care. They will do whatever. But then it also shed light to me on like you said, the quality of friendships. Like, why are you trying to be close to me? Are you really my friend? Or are you just doing this for me so that people can see you too, kind of thing? And then it also showed me how, and I hate to use this word because we use it so much now, but how like narcissistic characteristics are growing in younger generations of people. How people are just so focused on what they look like. Like it was one part of the movie where they were in a space where typically there's mourning. And the young lady said, "Oh, that's a great angle of me." Girl, you should be sad. Why are you worried about what this angle of you looks like in this place of mourning?
They were in that funeral posturing, baby.
Posturing, shaking,
She really said, "I hope I can get this. I hope I can get that clip." I said, "Oh."
A clip of yourself from a funeral. You know, so it's like, but that's real life. Like it's real life, and it's true. Because I even think about it for myself. Because I post a lot on social media. I love to take pictures. This is my thing. And sometimes we're so busy trying to capture an image that we separate ourselves from the moment. Again, adding to that sense of loneliness and not being connected to people in real life. And the movie really displayed that very well. So I enjoyed it. It was wild.
It was a wild ride from that first party when she went in there and was like, okay, she's hearing this voice, and we're like, oh my God, somebody's gonna jump out and jump her. And she harmed herself. And she came out all bloody and crazy, like, somebody hurt me, just so that all of the cameras can be on her and she can be front page of the blogs from being assaulted. But that was her way of like taking the attention away from everybody else. And she had the big colorful wig on. What was it, like green or orange?
Yellow.
She was doing everything from gentle to extreme to get that attention. Because the wig, I was like, okay, the wig's a little wild, but you know the girls do colored hair, like, okay. But when she went in that bathroom, I was like, did something happen to her? Or was she, okay, this is odd. And then her mom, Tammy Roman is in the movie. She did a great job.
I'm impressed. Yeah.
She did a great job. She's the mother in the movie, and she's just kind of like, first she's not realizing that this altar of her daughter is back, but once she does realize it, you know. But to be honest, it seems like the mom was putting the pressure on her, right? Now that I'm jogging it, because was her inheritance running low, or they were running out of money or something, so she was putting all this fire under the daughter to be like, oh girl, you gotta snag this top influencer spot because you love this lavish life, right? So
you gotta pay for it. And you see that a lot now too. You have a lot of parents who are pushing their children to do social media and things of that sort. So we're seeing it everywhere. But I think it's in the state of California now. If parents have their children on social media and they make money off of it, they have to pay the kids a salary.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've seen that, because it's definitely been a lot of, I don't want to use this word, but it's the only one I can think of. People exploiting their children, basically. People using their children for that internet fame as well. It's not just the kids searching for that social media approval. And I think that came about when the TikTokers, right? The TikTok families that would be like doing all these videos. I can even recall there was a TikToker that was adopting, I think it was a Chinese baby or something like that. And once they found out that they wouldn't be able to film the baby, they said, oh, we don't want to adopt her no more.
Wow.
They just completely was like, oh, we can't film the baby and this can't be our content for like 2 years. Like, oh no, we straight. And they literally did not adopt the child. So it's been so much like that people do, or as far as like continuing to get pregnant to, you know, get these deals. Oh, well, I'm gonna get a pamper deal if I have another baby. Or, oh, people are gonna look at my content if I have 6 kids, because they're gonna wonder, how are you taking care of 6 kids? And it really is an addiction that people
are feeding.
Absolutely.
So this is a wrap for this episode. I hope y'all enjoyed it. You can follow us on Instagram, which is Hood Health Report, as well as Facebook and Twitter, Hood Health Pod.
We also have a TikTok page now, Hood Health Report. Follow us there.
Yeah.
Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. All of the links will be in the descriptions and the bios for you to click on
Tap, like, comment, do it all.
subscribe, all of the things. Share it with a friend.
Yes.
Share it on your social media.
If you have a TikTok, make a little video, send it.
Let us know you're out there watching, guys. All right.